2009 MacBook Pro that I'm running everything off
We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nintendo Talk Live. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by the Nintendo Dad himself, Justin Masson. How you doing, Justin?
What's going on? That's a strong "the."
Well,
right?
I just got to make sure that people understand that, you are the man when it comes to the Nintendo Dads.
I appreciate. It definitely feels like you've put me above the other four.
Well,
four? I think it's four. Yeah,
5, whatever the hell you got.
I don't remember. It's like I got a small corporation.
You got a mess.
What I got going
there,
now? A mess.
I just realized too that I had to switch webcams for you on Skype because I was like, my God, I'm already starting to lag, and I was like, oh, idiot, you're pulling the webcam to 2 different places, and that's not good.
Oh,
so
there you go.
Yeah,
wow,
dude, I'm still learning everything. Apparently, I've only
it
been
looks
doing
great
this.
though.
Thank you, man. I've only been doing this for how long, and I'm already a mess. So
yeah, but everything changes though, right? You move to a different location, you have a different setup.
Mm-hmm.
Everything becomes a little bit different, right? And it's the reason why we leave all of our old systems plugged in. We never pull a cord, right?
Yeah.
Because you pull a cord and then everything breaks and collapses around it. So
it's true.
Yeah.
So, and I just like, okay, let's just move everything to a new location, and let's start fresh. So, how you been, man? It's been a while.
It has. I'm trying to think of the last time you and I chatted. When was that?
Man, it was a while ago.
It's been a while.
Well, I
can
can tell you right now. I can tell you right now because I can just look at the chat. The chat. January 17th, 2018 was the last time that you and I
had a call.
Had a call.
Yeah.
So that's
yeah. Don't make something I never talked to you over 9 months.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell, man? And that's weird because you and I, listen, okay, Toto, okay, Rybo, don't start Rybo. So the thing of it is, though, is you and I typically, it's weird because it's like whenever I need Justin Masson in my life, you tend to hit me up at the right time. And that's the truth. And that's a God's honest truth, man. I'm being honest with you with there. Anytime that I'm questioning things or wondering things or just my mind's wrapped into something messed up, you just kind of just out of nowhere, you'll hit me with a DM and I'm like, son of a bitch, he knew.
It's the force. It's the Nintendo force.
Exactly.
I feel strong in you, son.
Exactly. We start pulling on each other and stuff, and we because we've always, at least I feel this way. You might be like, shut up, but I've always felt like we've kind of had this natural bond. You know what I mean? We an instant draw. The first time, I mean, for those who don't know, Justin and I had met each other because we both had done reviews for SteamWorld Heist. And I did mine, and then you had sent me a private message, and we're like, hey, man, that was a good review. You did a good job with it. And I was like, thank you. And then the rest is history. You invited me on Nintendo Dads, which, by the way, was the most BS invite I've ever got in my life. Hey, man, you want to come on Nintendo Dads? 4 months from now at 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like, dude, these guys, what the hell, man?
I'm a planner. That's the thing.
No kidding, man.
I run a tight ship.
No kidding, dude. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm the Nintendo Guru, and I can't. Although at the time, I was
at that point you weren't,
I wasn't
actually.
a Nintendo. And again, so those, we'll catch everybody up to speed. I like to do this. I had Justin on an episode of the Geekcast at the time. And afterwards, him and I sat there and chatted for 45 minutes or whatever, and he basically told me to rebrand everything to the Nintendo Guru. Ultimately, it worked out for me because it's much, much stronger than it was. Everything's going much better. So I guess I if I ever do make it big time, I guess I have to do something for you. I don't know what, but
you know the guy, and I can't remember. It was during the Facebook or the social network. And your man walks in and says to Mark Zuckerberg, "Drop the. It's just Facebook."
So Nintendo Guru.
Nintendo Guru.
Okay. But
that's no. I mean, at this point, what my statement is that you say like a couple words. I had nothing in the creation of you. You were doing your own thing.
Yeah.
I just suggest a different branding.
Yeah. I got you. I got what you're saying. So you're just like, hey man.
But I will take my cut. Okay. I will take my pound of flesh.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. What's up? What's up, Captain Nintendo and Fernando Pelzer, Rybo and Dude427? How you guys doing tonight? So I'm just gonna hit you with it because I saw you guys were dodging and scared to bring it up, so I figured I would just start the conversation with it.
Sure,
Philip, what I saw you guys. You put a video up today, and I did watch it.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to I like kind of what you guys did because you guys had a relationship somewhat. You had him on the show. So you didn't want to just basically bury the guy or go in head first and kind of like throw false information out there into the wild. And I get that. You know what I mean? Like for me, for my side of it, what happened to me was first thing in the morning, man, like 8 o'clock in the morning, Sean Capri is blowing up my text messages saying like, dude, did you see this? And I was like, what the hell's going on? So I started following it throughout the course of the day. Pretty early on at that moment, I realized, okay, I'm going to bring this on Nintendo Talk today. Nintendo Guru Daily, and I'm going to talk about it. But I didn't want to attack. Never had the intentions ever to attack the guy. And then I saw the internet explode and start attacking him. And then I did a follow-up video where I was just like, guys, this is ridiculous. Like, stop. Yeah. But I wanted to kind of get inside your head a little bit and see where were you personally when all this started to, like, mentally where you were with all of it.
Yeah, I think the first thing I would say to you is first, never accept DMs or tweets from Sean Capri. I just block him straight off. I don't deal with his noise anymore. It's just a hater, right? You just gotta stop that bull. So I think definitely like when the news hit. I think, we did have, again, we had Philip on the show, had some great conversations before, just a fantastic guy. Yeah. Right. So my experience with Philip has been, obviously the announcement of seeing him become the NBC host, seeing him kind of find his feet over the last months, finding his way there. Yeah. Us inviting him on, heard he was a father. I was like, this is going to be great for our show. Yeah. I think he'll have a very interesting perspective. He came back from Labo. So again, as I mentioned in my video, if you look at the contained interactions that we had with Philip during that time, everything is fantastic. Yeah. And I think it's wonderful. When I saw the news break, my first thing, I was actually in the airport heading to Amsterdam. Okay. So I was up in Dublin, and I saw a DM about it, and I was like, I saw a message, so this doesn't sound right. And then I started going through the feed. And then I saw the side-by-side video. And so I listened to that in the airport. And my wife was even like, what are you listening to? And I was like, I think an IGN reviewer just plagiarized. Yeah. She's like, really? I said, yeah. I said, I mean, we're in spotty Wi-Fi. I don't have a lot here. I'm getting a bit of it. And then obviously, through the week, I was checking my DMs and I saw obviously IGN pulled the review. Yeah. And I think the interesting part was, I was super, first, like, stand back from this. I was super hyped for Dead Cells. Oh, and by the way, super fantastic game.
Oh, my God, dude.
I have been playing that for last week. We put it on our top games of August to be looking out for. I had it pre-ordered. I've been hyped for it. So my hype was already there for it. It wasn't going to be changed by this experience at all. But I was always interested of like, hey, I wonder how my thoughts or how I'm feeling about the game, how do others in the industry think about it? Yeah. Like, what's your review, right? So example, I did my SteamWorld Heist review. I wonder what is Bobby's, right? Yeah, so you always kind of fish around and be like, oh, is mine kind of like everyone else's? Yep. So I was interested in hearing Phillips, and he had hyped beforehand, hey, this is my first review. So I remember it was like, big congrats, like that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I know that obviously you kind of have your training wheels on, so to say, probably at IGN until you get ready to do a video. So my first initial reaction was like, that can't be.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way this is plagiarized. And then starting to do the side-by-side comparison, beginning to hear it, I was like, yeah, I could see that. I could see. And then my brain instantly went to, but how many times, right? Like we all speak, I think, the same language in some ways when we describe something, especially that is only describable in so many words or phrases. It is a roguelike, Metroidvania, platforming. Do you know what I mean? Like if we're getting the semantics of that, then I'm sorry, we're not plagiarizing. We're using common terms, definitions, and jargon that industry norm that is that is known within the industry. Yeah. Right. Now, so once they started comparing, the like, here's what I said, here's what you said, I was like, okay, yeah, that's pretty close, if not in some cases identical.
Yeah, some of them were dead on, but yeah.
Right. So then I kind of said, let's take a step back, let IGN do what they need to do. Right. They have a process, they have a procedure in place, obviously, I assume. And then Philip went quiet, which I think was probably a smart idea from a messaging perspective, because you don't want to combat or talk back from there. And then obviously the announcement that he was released. Yeah. And I think when it came, so, and I think my initial gut reaction was this: that sucks. Yeah. That really sucks. Yeah. And that sucks for a couple of things, right? That sucks for and I'm going to start with like the epicenter of where it sucks is for Philip. Yeah. Not it sucks that he lost his job. I mean, it does suck that he lost his job, but like, that's just a sucky situation. Yeah. Right. But at the same time, we also have to realize that he's responsible for him being in that situation. So I do feel bad for him. I do feel bad because it was his dream job. Yeah. It absolutely was. Something obviously went off the rails that this felt like the solution to do. Yeah. Right. And whether that was the solution to do, like, was it, hey, I ran out of time, or other personal commitments got in the way, I didn't have time to finish it, so I was listening to other ones, like something had to get you here to this point to make that mental decision of, here's what I'm going to do, and I don't think I'll get caught. Yeah. Right. There had to be a mental process of checks and balances that got you there, not just like, haha, I'm going to be villainous and I'm going to copyright and plagiarize a review. Yeah. So that sucks for Philip. The second part after that is that sucks for Philip's friends and family. And I think this is the part that bothered me the most. And I know you spoke about it as well. Yeah. Like, here's the thing. Your man is down, right? Like, he fell, he had a very public falling. Yeah. Not from a, hey, I'm leaving IGN, I'm going somewhere else. It's, you've been fired. Oh yeah, you're done from this job. Yeah. That I'm sure hundreds of thousands of people wanted. Yeah. And very publicly, and the internet is full of jerks and idiots and asses who are now flooding your social media account, telling you how bad of a person you are and how you're rubbing it in, and then you're going after their family. Yeah. And I that to me is irreparable. Like, it's just horrible. Yeah. Right. Like, listen, the guy's already down. Okay. Yeah. Like, you don't need to do anything else. Yeah. He lost his job. He lost his dream job. Whatever comment you think you're going to say, there's no point in it. Yeah. Right. It's the same statement of, like, Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park. Just because you didn't think of whether you should or shouldn't have. Yeah. Right. Just because you can be a jerk doesn't mean you have to be a jerk. Absolutely. Absolutely. So my perspective, when I was watching it kind of unfold, and at this point Philip had not released any statement. Yeah. I DM'd Marty and I said, I don't want us to cover it. Yeah. I don't like. There's a lot of like. And when I say this, I don't mean to be rude when I say this to you. Yeah. I'm not fishing daily for what the news is. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? We do our weekly, right? So I don't need to kind of find news. Yeah. To go off of. So I also, a media outlet or us reporting about a media outlet, right? Our job, I think, as a Nintendo Dad's podcast is typically to to praise Nintendo and to celebrate the successes that are there, and to, I mean, not necessarily praise and celebrate, but have critical eye where we need to. But like, our job is to bring content that is family friendly, that is engaging, and not kind of this downer part of it, which is this guy got fired, he plagiarized. That really sucks. He was on our show. He was a great guy on our show. We liked him. Yeah, great content. But I mean, I think that was just kind of my perspective at it. And I think also, I think in general, I think people in the internet need to be okay to take a breath. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't need to pile on them. You don't need to, right? Like, and I saw his apology video last night and retweeted it, and like the thread and the comment afterwards were like, you were monetizing this, and I can't believe you copied it. And by the way, you know, and there are allegations he's copied another review as well. I think FIFA 2018.
Yeah, from Nintendo Life. Yeah,
Nintendo Life.
Well, Kotaku reported on it, but it's a Nintendo Life review.
Yeah, through Chris Schloyer, I think. And he put together a video himself and actually, you know, put it out there and demonstrate kind of where the plagiarism as well. So,
well, that's the thing. So when I had a conversation with Sean off the air last night, because I'm not a writer. I don't even pretend. Like, I have grandeur, you know, delusions of grandeur that I can write, but I really don't. You know what I mean? Like, I can make things interesting, but as far as like structuring and stuff, I'm horrible when it comes to that.
Yeah.
So, but Sean writes. You know, he's done reviews for We the Nerdy and stuff, and I was saying to him, like, I don't see how it's, you know, I don't see how this is plagiarism. The Nintendo Life one. I mean, I don't get it. I don't understand. Like, it doesn't even look the same. He's like, Bobby, it's the structure. It's the way, the words he's using, the way he's getting to the point. When you look at the structure, it's the same structure and stuff. And I was like, oh, so to me, that's not, you know, I'm not, I don't have that eye for that. It's lost on me. But he picked it up immediately, and he started breaking it down for me. And I was like, wow, that's okay. I see what you're saying. So, and that kind of sucks. And the thing of it is like, the monetization thing is, and I think this is where this kind of comes in. I feel like when you do an apology video and you're truly sincere, or you're trying, if I'm going to put an apology video out there and I'm going to myself, okay, I want to be sincere, this and that. When you click that you want to monetize the video, the reason why that's kind of crappy is the fact that, you know, especially in this situation, a lot of people are going to watch this video. So in theory, you're trying to do two things. This is what I got from the apology video. I feel like there was a couple of things he was trying to do. One, deflect. Because he should have come right out and goes, guys, I screwed up. I did something wrong. I apologize for it. He never did that. He never even said, I did something wrong. Like, he just totally was like, you know, this happened. And then the part that really bugged me a little bit was when he said, you know, you look at other people's works to get a gauge. Not before you write your review. You do that after you write the review. Like, when you came and looked at my heist stuff, you guys had your review out as well. Yeah. You know, and like, it wasn't a matter of like, well, oh, Bobby did a review, I'm going to go watch that. You know what? He made a point there. I'm going to make a point in that in mine. Like, I don't do a lot of reviews, but the reviews that I do, I never watch somebody's thing and go, I'm going to take that point and that point. I'm going to try to jam it in to what's already. I want to be fresh-minded when I'm going. And that was where he caught a lot of heat from a lot of the IGN people. They were really upset by that statement. Like, Justin Davis came out and blasted him and was like, dude, I never look. I go away. I hide from everybody's stuff because I don't want to be tainted by it. So I feel like there's some the one thing that he hits that I totally agree with, that I'm totally cool with, that I'm with, is the whole don't attack my family. That's disrespectful. That part is a part that I've been stressing. I've been saying all along, like, I don't agree with what he did at all. I think it's kind of slimy. But what I felt like with that apology and where he's getting heat and attack from it is the fact that he's kind of jockeying himself to just get right back on the horse. And that should be the last thing he's thinking about right now. He should be saying, now I know he needs a job and I know all that stuff, but like, he should be going, guys, I screwed up, blah, 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 and then disappear for a little bit. Like, go away, don't do anything. And if he does, then I think he can come back and go, okay, I learned my lesson, I'm going to try to do this. It almost feels like he's going to, in my mind, the way I took it as, or the way the vibe it feels is like, I got fired, I messed up, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm going to start my channel back up and start doing that again. And I don't think anybody wants that, per se. I mean, I know there's people out there probably like, okay, yeah. But, like, if you looked at the dislikes for it, dude, it was like Metroid all over again. You know, like... Yeah,
I mean, it's a really tough situation, right? Because how does he get back into... I mean, again, you are the top, you're the top website, journalism for video games, and then and leading as I think as the editor or whatever, senior editor or contributor, whatever the title is, essentially running the
Nintendo department,
Nintendo department, which is on fire, right? Like you're going to be wicked busy. You're going to have probably full control. And to have that fall, right? And when he was on our show, he talked about the fact that was his YouTube channel was essentially his portfolio for his career to IGN. And that was why his effort and his work, and that was his dream job and everything. And ultimately, it's not like he's going to be able to try and get another job at like GameSpot or whatever. Like you are now going to have to absolutely be independent, and then being independent and having your name out there as publicly as it has been, you want to send a developer a request email, right? Like, hey, my name is Philip, and I'm hoping to maybe review your game. To be like, oh, wait a second, what? Who's this? Why does that name sound familiar, right? Or like any probably developer or company that we work with, they'll probably Google your name.
And that's where he might.
All of a sudden you're like, oh, right, this thing, right, this guy. Never mind, I remember him from a couple of years ago.
I think he's going to have to create a moniker of some sorts, like a Nintendo Guru. Like I can, it's weird because I go in as I'm the Nintendo Guru, and then people go, oh, okay, I know you. But when I go in, hey, I'm Bobby Pauls, they're like, who? He's going to have to do that. He's going to have to create something for himself to kind of get away from this for a little bit, if he can. But
I mean, I like it'll be challenging. Like it will haunt him. I don't know where his next move is from here or how he moves forward with it. I think IGN has got a bit of a black eye, right? And yes, people are like, well, it's not IGN's fault. I agree, it's not directly IGN's fault, but there's something there.
Oh, I blame IGN for some of this.
There's an infrastructure there, right? And again, none of us have worked at IGN. We don't have direct friends at IGN. We have some contacts with these places. That's it. Right. But and they're gonna have a black eye. Because Philip was under their umbrella. Right. So you hired him, and yet he put out plagiarism. So it's gonna be And it's not like IGN's going to crumble because of this, but it's a bit of a bloody nose, right? Like they're like, hey, we took a pretty strong punch to the face in this one, guys, right? And here's the thing: they, in my opinion, for corporate structure, they reacted quite quickly.
Oh yeah, they were on it,
right? They were on it real fast.
Let's be honest. In the claims and the charges, you better be. You better be on this, because if not, people are going to start going back to all your reviews and questioning them all. So they needed to be like, boom, yes, get out. Because if they didn't, if they waffled a little bit on it, they're looking for some trouble.
Well, and that's exactly it. Like they were in a hard spot. The moment the moment it happened, right? And the video was side by side. They were in a tough spot because even if they did not release him or did not suspend him, then basically it says, oh, well, you're okay copying someone else's work or portions of it, right? So it's okay to copy 30% of the work, right? So once it happened, like they were in a tough spot where, my mental thing of it, I was like, there's no way he's not going to be fired. Right? Like because of the optics that it would have for IGN, they had to create a reaction and saying this is not tolerable, right? Because you're at this point now, from an IGN perspective, you need to cover your brand. You need to save your face now, right? So So, our reaction is we have let this reviewer go. There's probably some type of changes internally to review checks and onboarding, and maybe checking internet browser history or like whatever it would be to maybe verify or any of this. Probably a new, like, hey, when a new person comes on, here are rules that we need to make sure we go through. By the way, who checked his work? Who QC'd his work?
Well, that's the funny thing is his boss, right? The guy that does all the checks, Dan Stapleton, was on vacation.
Yeah.
And he even tweeted, he was like, coming back from my first day of vacation, he had a gif of a guy walking in the house and like with a pizza in his hand, and the whole house is on fire and stuff. And it's it was so hilarious. It was good to see that they were taking some type of humor with it, because
but I mean, again, if Dan Stapleton's out, doesn't mean that, by the way, nothing should happen.
No,
you know what I
know
mean?
that. No, I know that.
Somebody else should be there.
Somebody
like who's the other guy who's checking the work? Right. There should be levels of accountability to that. And I read some of the tweets and then them saying it was a tough week. Yeah. Right. And then they got out the updated review yesterday.
Yeah. Pretty quickly. Okay, so my thing is this. This is where I feel IGN plays a little part in this. Philip wasn't YouTubing that long. You know what I mean? Like, he jumped on the Nintendo. He took off and exploded because Sean, please don't say that, Sean. I'm sitting here. I have to sit here and look at this face for the next 30, 40 minutes. Please don't. But anyway, so my thing is this: is like he was kind of an unknown to some degree. Like, when the Switch hit, he hit it at the perfect timing. He exploded, right? So now the question for me is, you hire him. It's obvious that what they were trying to do was not lose any luster from losing Jose Otero, because Jose was moving on to Nintendo. They wanted to. My issue was, dude, you bring this guy in and then you just like don't even put shackles on him. You're just like, okay, you're in NBC now. You're the host of NBC. And I was like, what the hell are you doing? Like, rein it in a little bit. Let him prove himself like everybody else here has. Like, you didn't have a lot of these people running podcasts day one. And not only that, like, you put him as the Nintendo editor. Like, he basically got Jose's job. And I felt like in that situation, you kind of work from within. Promote somebody to that position. Hire Philip to come in and work with them to get him up there. I feel like that might have been why he jumped to go do what he did. Not that it's an excuse, but I feel like it might have been a little bit too much pressure, and he just thought, maybe let's try this.
Well, I think that goes back to the idea of hiring content creators, right? The trendy YouTuber, the hot millennial at the time, because they're going to bring over some of their fan base, right? And they're going to support that. I'm not saying that's exactly why IGN hired him, right? And I obviously, because I mean, if you do look at his videos beforehand as well, before he went over to IGN, they're great videos. They were very informed. I watched a fair chunk of them. Yeah, I thought he was very engaging. But I mean, I do think that's a little bit of it. I mean, but I mean, you go from being a space of a one-man YouTube content creator, right, where probably no one's really checking your work.
Yeah, that's true. They're not.
To now being a large-scale infrastructure of the largest video game organization out there. Yeah. Right. There's a cultural shift. That is a change from I versus we very quickly. Yeah. Right, because they have a team of people at IGN to probably support and to make sure that happens. Right. He doesn't need to do everything there. But then to your point, though, you are right. You gave him like the keys to the kingdom. Yeah. And said how to crack. You were trying to fill Jose's shoes in a lot of ways, and that's very challenging.
Sean, right. I want to just look something up real quick, because Sean had read a comment in the actual apology from someone that was working with him in it, and I want to see if I can find it real quick. Cause
I did. Was it from Lily Zanzibar?
Yes.
Yeah, she lit him up.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
dude.
I saw that too. I was like, "What?"
Yeah, man, she was not playing anything with him, dude. She fired him up, and rightfully so, because there's someone that's saying, like, essentially, I'll paraphrase it. She was basically saying, like, dude, I work side by side with you for months, like, doing what I love, supporting you, and this is what you, like, you don't even say anything other than, like, you didn't even apologize, essentially, is what she's saying. And she's basically like, this is BS. You monetized the video. Like, she ripped him apart. And, and I, like, in my opinion, that's someone that has the right to do it. because she's got all the grievance in the world. You know what I mean? Like, hey man, I sat side by side with you. I helped you do a lot of this stuff, and you could have potentially tainted my name if I happened to still be there working on this review with you. You know, and not only that, like anybody else that works side by side with you, you run the risk of tainting theirs as well. So I get where the heat's coming from on anybody from IGN that goes after him. I would not say a word like, oh, you can't do that. They have all the rights in the world, in my opinion, because they're the ones that kind of took the black eye to this.
Yep.
And they got to come out of this, you know.
Yeah, and I do wonder, you know, how what that is going to shake out to look like, right? Are they going to try and go externally again, or to your point, are they going to go internally, make that shift, right? Someone in that host position, and then from there groom someone into gradually, you know, as a junior editor or junior writer, and then to move up the ranks, right? Like that's a large jump.
I like Zach. You know what I mean? Like, I think Zach, he's young, he's fresh. Like, move him kind of in that role, you know, and because you have, to me, here's the thing. It used to be Jose, Brian, Pear. It was a 3-man team. Then they move Zach in, right? And then Jose leaves. And then next thing you know, Philip's thrown in the mix. And I just feel like they should scale it back down to 3. Yeah. Leave it at 3. And then go that route. It's a shame because I really wish Sam Claiborne would take the role back because, man, I love when Sam's on that show. He does such a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, and I would say, you know, 4 people on a podcast is ridiculous. That's a very crowded podcast.
We're going to move now because we're going to move into this because I was excited when Zach quit because I was like, the Nintendo dads now are back to 3, and then you don't even wait a day and you're like, oh, by the way, here's the 4th back. Like, being serious though. Yeah. What was your feelings when Zach basically told you he was sick of your BS and was leaving?
Yeah, I mean that's exactly it, right? Zach was like, just you know what he did. He did you know, you'll appreciate this. He threw me a couple of Steve Austins.
Oh man, did this. I like that.
And then he was just like, and he chugged a beer and had a 316 shirt on and kicked me in the crotch, and I found it was crazy.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think for us, you know, Zach and I have a really great communication and great relationship as well. Very much, I think, kind of like you and I, right? We don't talk every single day, but when we do, I think there's always something there.
Yeah, and it's like we haven't skipped a beat.
Yeah, exactly. And Zach had said like, "Hey, I've got a lot of things changing my life. You know, he's got 3 kids now."
Okay.
Right, 3 kids. His job was now changing the hours that he was working as a psychologist, and so that became challenging. And what he was noticing is he wasn't having time for his family, the proper balance, and then to do a late night podcast, and not only time for his family, but then even just your own time.
Yeah.
Right. Your own, what you need to do to refill your batteries.
Yeah.
So we had seen some shifts in a while leading up to that. So we had some conversations about like what works for him, and I think for us, you know, probably very selfishly for me, I didn't want Zach to leave.
I don't blame you. I mean,
because I think Zach,
you're getting left with Jesse and Marty. I would be
Jesse and Marty, and I'm like, what?
Upset too, yeah.
And I think that, you know, he's always got a different perspective.
Yeah.
And so we had a conversation about what worked best for him, and he said he'd like to do YouTube. So, you know, we were able to say, hey, then why don't you make that your passion area?
Yeah.
That's somewhere that, you know, originally when we started the show was just a podcast. And then we, much I think probably like you, discovered that YouTube seemed to be a very important space for us or anyone.
Yeah.
Right. And we've been making efforts in that, but it always feels like it's the podcast. Oh, and by the way, we need to do YouTube.
Yeah.
And for us to say to Zach, hey, why don't you kind of be in charge of that and direct that? And it allows for him to have more flexibility in his schedule. It worked well. So I was happy with that. It's unfortunate we're just not on as much.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that he pops on more as a guest. And then my schedule is pretty fluctuant, right? 4 a.m. is a very early call time for me. And having Gary on this side, Gary has done a ton of work for us over the last year, and it was just kind of a natural fit.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, I mean, I think that's, you know, I think it's interesting now that our show probably is about 3 people on the podcast, but 5 people within our, what I would call organization.
Yeah.
Right. We are a small enterprise now at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The thing that I I just want to point out, and I would like it to be put on the record, that any time that Justin Masson comes on Nintendo Talk, I always am accommodating to your schedule. I always ask you what time. Like, Nintendo Talk typically happens 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yes.
I moved it to 5 p.m., all for you. And
I appreciate that.
And that's because I love you, and it just goes to show that these guys don't respect you at all. So anytime that you want to leave them and come with me, you just let me know, and we can make it happen. We can work.
The fun. I feel like the prettiest girl of the dance because every time I get and honestly, I've had about 3 other podcasts reach out to me and say, would you consider leaving ship for a better call time and come work with us?
So the thing of it is, and I'll say it, I could care less. So Justin came to me like right almost the minute that it was announced that you were not even announced that you found out that you could potentially be moving to Ireland. And him and I had a conversation, and it went back and forth, and I'm like, dude, what are you going to do with Nintendo Dads? Like, are you going to be able to do it? He's like, I might be leaving. And I was like, I think I might have been the first one, because I was like, there is a spot for you on the Geekcast, because I still had the Geekcast at the time. There's a spot for you. You come on. We do it Saturday mornings, whatever. I was like, it's perfect. Let me know. And I didn't even ask Toby. I could care less what Toby said, because I would kick you.
Get out, Toby, you're gone.
Toby, see you later there. And but no, it's the thing of it is for me anyway, my fear, it's not so much that I felt like you weren't, they weren't working with you or whatever it might be. My fear was you were going to leave altogether. Mm-hmm. And I, and Sean will tell you, because we've had conversations before privately about you, you are too valuable to this community to not have a voice.
Oh, that's too kind.
And that was my biggest reason to be like, hey man, you don't do nothing. Like, I'm here. You need to do something.
Yeah.
We'll do something. And then of course I went back and listened to the episode that you were on Nintendo, If We Ran Nintendo, and that always makes me laugh. So, dude, when Sean did that episode 99, and it's the whole thing, and it's, dude, the prom date, the promposal going wrong, and dude, I lost my mind. I was laughing so hard. It was the greatest thing ever. So
I think having you, Sean, and I on a podcast is probably the worst idea in the world.
That it could potentially be the worst thing in the world.
It's pretty horrible. So
it's actually that's the thing that me and Sean used to say. Like, dude, we bring Masson on, and it's like, no, like it's cake. Like, this guy comes with pie charts and like it's the best.
I like to be prepared. I'm a very prepared and organized person.
No joke, man. That first time when we talked about, because we were going to launch Zelda, and we were talking about like what we would do to launch Zelda, and you're like, we're going to do this and we're going to do, and I'm like, I almost wanted to text Sean privately, like, dude, I think we should just leave the show and let him take the show, because we're not even ready for this, man. This is a different type of level of readiness. So
I think I had an 18-month flowchart timeline.
Yeah, you were like all the way, like you were like beating me, and then Nintendo went the absolute opposite way.
Completely did,
and
they never listened to me,
and they knocked it out the park. So
right, the jerks steal my ideas every once in a while. So
I've noticed a trend that I think. I now know that I need to stay off the Nintendo Dads from ever coming back on a guest spotting, because I realized something. You bring people on the show, and the next thing you know, their careers start to derail a little bit. Like I look at Josh Thomas and all the flack he caught after he was on Nintendo Dads. Philip comes on, loses his job. Yeah. You guys are the kiss of death over there. Man.
We're a pretty toxic team. Like, I mean, we are absolutely. I mean, what happens?
Look at Adam Leonard's hair. Like, he's basically lost all his hair after he came on the show.
What happens is that people realize when they get on our podcast, they're like, I will never be better than this. I will never. Like, nothing will get better for me than here. So I am like, it's a swagger that all of a sudden you got. You're like, I'm king of the world. I've been on the Nintendo Dads podcast, and there's a swagger in your step, and you think you're invincible. Then your hair starts falling out, Mr. Adam Leonard, and then you start making some questionable decisions, and then it just falls off the rail. So I'm really excited to announce some of the upcoming guests we have that include Bobby Pauls.
No, I'm not me, man. I ain't coming on. I'm out. No, I would admit it. I would admit it.
Yeah.
The have you talked to Josh recently?
I have not. No, I saw his video recently about his dog. Unfortunately, so that was
I reached out
that
to
was
him after
very
that, and
yeah
we've had a couple conversations privately, and
yeah
you know, the guy, I personally I love him. You know what I mean? Like we've had some fights. You know, I'm not gonna act like we haven't, but we worked through them. He's always the one thing that I've noticed about Josh, he is forever a troll, and he just loves to needle people. And once you recognize that's what it is, you start to actually laugh because you realize once you get on the inside and you realize the guy's a decent guy. He just likes to you know, he likes to have fun at your expense. And once you realize that, you start to kind of let that stuff go away.
Yeah.
And
well, and I think the other thing, and I think the important thing that you said there, and I think this is a large lesson in general, is we should be able to have the ability to disagree with someone,
yes,
but have a conversation to seek and understand why.
exactly.
Why did you make those decisions?
Yep.
What happened there? How did this situation get there? How do we change this situation? Can the situation be changed? Can the relationship be changed? Yeah. How do we move forward? And I think in general, and I mean, if we even go back to Philip's situation a couple moments ago, the same rules apply there.
Yeah.
Like instead of the knee-jerk reaction, like I'm hurt and insulted and therefore now I'm angry, if we take a step back and say, hey, whoa. Let me understand, why did you do what you did?
Yeah.
The emotional intelligence to have a healthy conversation only makes us better.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. And I think that's what we all have to do in everything, right? Whether that's the internet, whether that's people we collaborate with, whether that's, you know, just people at work, spouses, kids, whatever. Yeah. In general, like we need to have a little less knee-jerk reaction, a little bit more seeking to understand.
And that's what happens. 9 times out of 10, Josh throws something out there just to fire a couple of people up, and they fall right into the trap. And he sits back and he's laughing, and you're like all pissed off. And then all of a sudden it's like, I'm the only one mad. Like everybody's laughing at me now because it was like, you know, one of those things. But we got about 15 minutes left because we were going to jump into some Fortnite after this. So
we are.
Are you still there? I got about an hour of Fortnite that I could play, so I can go.
So do I. Okay. We'll be finishing about midnight.
Okay, yeah. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to just talk for another 10, 15 minutes, stop for about 5 just to kind of get things set up, and then I will be streaming. I'll actually have you jump over to Discord at that point, so that way we could people can be a part of it. But that aside, so you've touched Dead Cells? You played Dead Cells?
Yeah, I've been playing it. I played it a ton on my flight there and back from Amsterdam. So I got about 3 hours there.
You brought Amsterdam. Would you go out there smoke some weed? Is that the deal?
No, you don't. You wouldn't. I mean, you can smoke it there.
You just walk through the streets and you like contact
walk through the streets and You know, the funny part is you really probably can. This is our first time to Amsterdam. My wife is Dutch or half Dutch. And she's a friend who's visiting us over here in Ireland who's also half Dutch. So we said, let's do a trip over there. And we're there for 3 days. But yeah, it is a beautiful city. Absolutely beautiful city. Nice. But the amount of people that as you walk past, I'm like, you definitely smell like weed.
Okay, so before we jump into you continue, this just hit me. And I'm just realizing now, I've got so many friends in Europe. How much longer are you in Europe for?
So I don't have a definitive return date to Canada yet. My contract was a minimum of 2 years.
Okay.
We have been here now for 17 months, but if we leave, it will not be for another 12 months. Because if we do return back to Canada next year, it will be in the summer, so the kids don't have to have an impact their school year.
Okay. So what I would like to do is this, and I want to see if I can get some people together to do this. Maybe next summer, I would like to come out to Europe. And what I would like to do is I would like to get you. I'd like to get Barry. I'd like to get Gary. I'd like to get Toby.
Yep.
And all of us go to Sweden then and go to Image and Form.
Oh, I was like, what the hell is in Sweden that you're
just
randomly choosing? Okay, I was like,
what? So I would love for all of us to kind of go together and be like, we're going to storm Thunderful. And we're
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
So
Barry lives like 2 hours away from me.
That would be awesome, dude. Just to be like.
Yeah.
Now, did you hear about the? Okay, so you heard about Chicken Wiggle, right?
Yes.
Got green lit and all that stuff. So there's a party that's supposed to happen.
Yes, I heard about that.
So I'm talking to Jules one day, and I went in for the full $500 that entitled me to go. Somehow I convinced Barry to do it.
Yeah.
So Barry's coming as well, right? So I said to Barry, I'm talking to Jules, and Jules goes, you know what'd be kind of cool? Barry come to your house, and you guys drive down, and you vlog.
Absolutely, you should.
The whole thing. And I was like, dude, I like this idea. So I floated to Barry, and Barry's like, I don't know, man, how far of a drive is? I'm like, it's like 10, 12 hours, something like that. And he's like, I don't know. He's like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And so apparently it's tentatively set that that's going to happen. So that would be kind of awesome to like him fly to me, and then we drive together down.
So Barry invited me as his +1.
Oh my God! Please do it. Please do it.
There's no way.
Why? No way. Come on.
There's no way.
Why?
The funny part is we're actually over in Copenhagen. I think around that time.
You need to do it,
with my family.
Oh,
but yeah, Barry was like, "Do you want to come to Texas with me?" I was like, "Wait, what? Why? Why are you going to Texas?" And then he told me, "You guys, either way, you guys need to do that. I need to see a road trip. Like it's a buddy cop movie with the two of you.
That'd be awesome."
And I think it's funny. And now the reason he asks how long of a drive is, you have to remember Ireland, the entire country, north to south, Bobby, is 5 hours.
Oh, good God.
That's it.
Good God.
Like when I say that he is 2 hours away from me, he's literally in the middle of the country, and that's 2 hours north of me. It's that kind. It's that mentality. So I mean, I think a 15-hour road trip to Texas with the two of you.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Brilliant.
That'd be amazing.
I absolutely want to see that.
If anybody that ever saw the movie Dumb and Dumber, that would probably be pretty spot on. And I would probably do something just to drive him crazy, like rent some weird vehicle that
you should.
That he would.
Just a moped.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like November, December in Jersey, right? Like that's gonna be wicked
so
cold,
man. So cold,
right?
That'd be so funny, man.
He's not even know how to realize or deal with the cold there either.
It's gonna be amazing. Oh yeah, he don't have no idea what it's like. That's a funny thing. Like I went to Disney, when the year after Tony and I got married in Disney, we went back the following year and we met a bunch of friends down there in Disney, and I'm wearing a hoodie. And they're all bundled up. Like, they're from Florida. They're all bundled up like it's like the blizzard. And I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, how are you only wearing, like, flip-flops and a hoodie? It's freezing out here. I'm like, dude, I just came from 9 below. And I'm like, you think this is cold? Like, this is nothing. This is spring, man. Like, you're crazy. So
I hear you. Also, I think it's like hashtag Team Fat.
Yes,
I think that's kind of part of our life. Of how we work. Also, because I'm very much like that.
Yeah. I'm a little insulated.
I walk around here in sandals and t-shirts, and people are like, "What are you doing here? It's December." I'm like, I know, I'm barbecuing right now. Exactly. What are you doing?
So real quick, let's jump back on the Dead Cells real quick before we bail. What are you thinking about it?
I think it's good. It's tough.
Yeah.
It is tough. And it wasn't until I was listening actually to yesterday's IGN or today's, whatever it is, that they did their review of it more, their conversation on the podcast about like, I never really thought about the speed run aspect of it. Yeah. Right. About trying to get there. And I do find like I'm getting better at the first level area, really strong. I'm flying through that. So you're seeing that progression. But let me tell you, like when you die, you're like, oh, I know. Like it cuts you. You're like, oh,
but it kind of keeps you where you were, but not. Meaning, some of the stuff you can keep, some of the stuff you lose. And so that's where it's the roguelike. But then it's also Metroidvania in the fact of like you do start to unlock stuff that gets you into other areas. I kind of like what they did. I was playing it just before, and I was like, I don't want to stop playing, man. I just want to keep going. I don't want to stop here. So
that is a challenge, right? Like, but I mean, I've been kind of on a Fortnite high since that released. I've been playing tons of that, enjoying playing that, and this is the first game that's really pulled me away from that. Yeah. And been like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna be playing this right now. But yeah, it's really, really good. I keep coming back to it. It's great. I love it.
Good. So good. So let's wrap this up. Let everybody know where they can find you at and all that good stuff.
Sure. So you can follow us over on Nintendo Dads. It's on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. YouTube is the thing that we have. We just passed, Bobby, 2,000 followers on YouTube recently.
The only reason you're beating me is because I took a break. That pisses me off because I was catching you, man. I was like right there, and I remember you saying that to me in January that you were big, like right there, and then boom, there you go.
Yeah. You were nipping on our heels, and the funny part was, like, I would typically like look and see where you were doing too. It's like, you son of a bitch, so close, you're so close to us.
Don't worry,
but yeah, we just very happily passed 2,000.
Awesome. That is awesome.
We're encouraging people to obviously come over and like and subscribe. But we got tons of content. We're almost putting out videos daily.
That's awesome.
Which is great. We've started a creators program with our Patreon folk, and they're putting out amazing content, not only from codes that we're receiving, but also accessories that people are doing. We're starting more stuff like the Dad Chat, which is very similar to what I talked about today with Philip. We changed some of our Patreon structure recently now so that everyone has access to our Discord. So a lot of great stuff going over, and you can, of course, support us at patreon.com/NintendoDads. And our podcasts go up every single Friday, I think. We record Thursdays, goes up Fridays. But just search Nintendo Dads. We're all over the place.
Exactly. So if you're here, don't necessarily leave. We'll be back in like a couple minutes. I just want to shut the stream down, let it kind of reset, and then we're gonna come back. We're gonna change up everything. We're gonna play some Fortnite. So hopefully we can grab a couple of you guys and play with you. So other than that,
Purple Monkey Entertainment playing Fortnite and Paladins in your dorm. Well done.
Yes.
Well done.
Yes.
Sorry, that caught my attention. Thanks for everyone who showed up to watch too. That's very nice.
Oh yeah, we did good today. It was very good. Yeah. So you can follow me. Just go over to nintendoguru.com. You'll see everything there, all that good stuff. That is all. Peace out, Preston.